Hey guys, have I got a show for you? Oh my goodness, I cannot even believe what the Lord has shown to me. Connections are more crazy than you could ever imagine. You are not gonna believe what I'm about to show you. I mean, you will, but you're gonna be beside yourself, because this is absolutely mind-blowing. So buckle up, because Kamala is in the ring. As we get closer to the end, the truth will become more and more precious, and the people that hold it will have a great responsibility, because the world will reject what they have to say, persecute, hunt them down, and kill them. These truths are hard, and it takes a certain kind of person led by God to bring these truths to the surface. So choose you this day whom ye will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Welcome. If you were a child growing up in the 80s, then there was a chance that wrestling was on your TV, maybe time to time. And if so, then maybe you have seen this man on your screen. He is a wrestler from the 80s and the early 90s named Kamala. Now, as I was driving today, I was listening to a show who was covering Kamala Harris, and the name kept being said, and so that triggered a thought in my mind. And I remembered this guy. And so I said to myself, when I have a break, I have to look this guy up. Okay, this all happened today. So on my break, I looked up Kamala to try and see what he was all about and see if there was any connections between him and Kamala Harris. You are not going to believe what I found. Now, you know I've associated Kamala Harris with Artemis in the Horror Babylon video. And I've associated Artemis with Wormwood in the Bible study Revelation Part 11. So now I'm going to show you something absolutely crazy. This is Kamala the wrestler. Notice his face is done up in war paint. Okay, war paint is what you wear when you're going to go on the hunt. Well, Artemis, Kamala, is the goddess of the hunt. You can see here, Artemis is presented as a goddess who delights in hunting and punishes harshly those who cross her. Artemis's wrath is proverbial and represents the hostility of wild nature to humans. This is exactly what we're going to see when Kamala Harris takes office. Anyone that mocks her, makes fun of her, is going to be persecuted, hunted down, and punished harshly. So here is a connection between Kamala, and Artemis. He also has these two 6-pointed stars on his chest. That's 66. That's Artemis and Apollo. 66 is Apollo's number. The twin stars, the twin spirits, Apollo and Artemis. If we scroll down, you'll see that he also has a crescent moon on his stomach. Artemis's symbol is the crescent moon. Okay? I have this highlighted for something I'm going to show you after. So this wrestler literally has the goddess of the hunt, the twin stars, the crescent moon. This is a manifestation of Artemis and Apollo. Okay? How can I say that, you might be wondering? What does this Kamala have to do with the other Kamala, you might be wondering? Well, this Kamala, his last name is Harris. He is Kamala Harris. Yeah, that's right. His name is Kamala, Harris. Yes, Kamala is his ring name, but Kamala is also Kamala Harris's ring name. So they both have a ring name of Kamala, and their last name is Harris. Now, this is where things start to get really crazy. As if that wasn't crazy enough. Born May 28th. May is 5. 8 and 2 is 10. That's 15. That's 555, which is 666. 1950. 1 and 9 is 10 and 5 is 15. That's 555, which is 666. Now, he died on August 9th of 2020. Not only did he die August 9th of 2020, but he died of this sickness right here, which Apollo brought, and Artemis. So, we all know from Revelation 9:11, which says, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon." So Revelation 9:11 is why they use the number 911 to worship their god Apollo, who is also Artemis. Okay, remember, the image of the beast is the Baphomet, both sexes, male and female. So 911, 9 times 11 is 99. You flip that upside down, that's 66. 611 is just 911 upside down. Same exact thing. Okay? Why am I showing you this? Well, watch what happened. Kamala, the wrestler, dies on August 9th, 2020 of CV19. Taken out of the ring, so to speak, August 9th of 2020. So when he was taken out of the ring on the 9th, Kamala Harris, named by Joe Biden as his VP pick, on August 11th, 2020. Yeah, you're hearing me correctly. So Kamala the wrestler, okay, Apollo, is taken out August 9th from CV19. That's 8-9. Kamala Harris, the woman who is vice president, is brought into the ring on 8/11. So between that Kamala's death and this Kamala's entrance, you have 88-9/11. Okay, August is 8, 8-9, 8/11. So one was taken out to make way for the other. This is very similar to what I was talking about the other night with the Richard Simmons thing. We don't know how these things work. We just know that they're doing it. There's sacrifices being made to bring to fruition dark magic, spell casting, to win over the hearts and the minds of the people, or to pull the wool over the eyes of the people. Whatever it is, it works. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it and they wouldn't have all the power. So let's just look at Kamala the wrestler for a minute. He was a part of the WWF off and on between 1984 and 1993. WWF is, W is the 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So that's 6, 6. And F is the 6th letter in our alphabet. 6. So you have WWF, 666. And you might say, well, Jay, they've changed it to WWE. And I'll say to you that E is 5. That's the Roman numeral for V, which is Vav, which is also a 6. V and W are both Vav in the Hebrew alphabet. So it still says 666. Now, I decided to see how many days it was between his birth and his death. as you can see here, I did 5/28/1950. 5/28/1950 and August 9th, 2020. August 9th, 2020. It came out to 25,641 days. 2 plus 5 plus 6 plus 4 plus 1 is 18. That's 666. You can see down here, it's 3,663 weeks. Not only is this a mirror number, but it's also 666. Pretty crazy. So, in 1984, George Orwell's 1984, Kamala debuted in the World Wrestling Federation. So in 1984, Kamala, Artemis Apollo, made his debut in the 666 World Wrestling Federation in July of 1984. Kamala's final appearance was in the Battle Royale in November 1984. So he was in there from July of 1984 to November of 1984. July is 7, November is 11. 7/11. That's 9/11. For those of you who are new to the channel, Septa, as in September, the 9th month that we use, actually means 7. Septa is 7. So 9/11 and 7/11 are the same number in 1984. Pretty crazy. So, on August 5th, okay, this is 58, the rise of the Antichrist, he tested positive for this during the pandemic in Mississippi and was hospitalized. So on 58, he came down with this and was brought to one of the temples of Apollo, and due to this, he started to experience complications. He went into cardiac arrest on this date, August 9th, dying later that afternoon at the age of 70. So, he went in on 58. He died on 8/9. Kamala Harris, the other Kamala Harris, rose to her ring on August 11th, 9/11. So now I'm going to show you some more interesting things and connections that are going to be made here. So I'll just tell you straight up, I don't think this is her real name. It's her stage name. Kamala Devi Harris, born October 20th, 1964. Okay? All that's missing here is one letter, the L, right? If there was an L, it would say devil. Born October 20th. Let's add these up. October, that's 10, so you have a 1, because zeros are canceled. So 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 9 is 13, plus 10 is 23. 23 with this middle name, but it gets even deeper, because this wasn't what she was born with a middle name as, according to the narrative. If we scroll down here, we see that if we click on this little addendum here, it says Harris was originally named Kamala Liar Harris. Now, that might say Iyer, but to me, I see Liar. So her middle name was changed from Liar to Devi. John 8:44 says, Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it. How interesting that her middle name would be so close to liar and so close to devil. I just found this interesting, that Kamala's mom, Shyamala, had moved to the United States from India as a 19-year-old graduate student in 1958. Telling you, this stuff is so bizarre. Let's look at her portfolio. She was the 27th District Attorney of San Francisco. That's 72. She was the 32nd Attorney General in California. That's 23. She was the 49th Vice President of the U.S. That's 13. Or 4 times 9, which is 36. 3 sixes. You guys, you can't make this stuff up. I found this interesting. From the AP, November 9th, right? 9/11, 2016, 88. Kamala Harris becomes the first Indian American U.S. Senator. How interesting. The first Indian American. But if we go back to this article where she's selected as Biden's VP running mate, it says the senator would be the nation's first black and first Asian American vice president. But I thought she was Indian. Very, very confusing. So Artemis, the goddess of sudden death. So Kamala the wrestler on 5/8 checked in because he tested positive for the sickness, and 4 days later he died. That's a sudden death. We'll get into the crescent moon in a minute. Artemis is the patron of healing and disease, particularly among women and children. She believed to send both good health and illness upon women and children. So she watches over women and children. This is Kamala Harris's Wikipedia page. It says there a friend confided to Harris that she had been abused in her home. Hearing of her schoolmate's experience helped form Harris's later commitment as a prosecutor to protect women and children. There are so many connections between Kamala and Artemis. It's not even funny. Not only have we drawn the line from the wrestler and his obvious Artemis symbolism, the twin spirits, the 66, the crescent moon, the war paint, the goddess of the hunt. Okay, these are all things that are associated with Artemis. Now, we're going to take a little bit of a detour. We're going to look at some of her other personifications. This is the reason Artemis was later identified with Hecate, since the daemons were tutelary deities. Hecate was the goddess of the crossroads, and she was the queen of the witches. So Trump, who is a MAGA in the Church of Satan, which is a wizard, or a warlock if you please, well, Hecate, Artemis, Kamala, is the goddess of the crossroads. This is where you go to sell your soul. And she's queen of the witches. So Trump is king of the wizards, and she is queen of the witches. This is Hecate. Look familiar? Goddess of magic, spells, the moon, the night, crossroad, and ghosts. Looks like the Statue of Liberty, right? Her symbols are paired torches, dogs, serpents, keys, knives, and lions. Here we see another Greek word suggested as the origin of the name Hecate is Hekatos, an obscure epithet of Apollo, interpreted as the far-reaching one or far-darter. This has been suggested in comparison with the attributes of the goddess Artemis, strongly associated with Apollo and frequently equated in the Hecate in the classical world. So this god is the embodiment, it says triple-bodied, Hecate. In Egyptian history, it says a possible theory of a foreign origin for the name may be Hekat, a frog-headed Egyptian goddess. Remember, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Egyptian goddess of fertility and childbirth, who, like Hecate, was also associated with HQ ruler. The word Heka in the Egyptian language is also both the word for magic and the name of the god of magic and medicine. That's exactly what Artemis is, a goddess of childbirth and midwifery. So, direct connection with Hecate, the Statue of Liberty, Lucifer, Apollo, Satan, and Artemis. Selene, who is the personification of the moon. She drives her moon chariot across the heavens. Several lovers are attributed to her in various myths, including Zeus, Pan, and the mortal Endymion. In post-classical times, Selene was often identified with Artemis, much as her brother Helios was identified with Apollo. So here we have Artemis and Apollo, and Selene and Helios, the sun and the moon god. You'll notice that she has this torch. Well, for the Olympics, they have a torch lighting ceremony. Remember, Selene is Artemis. Here is the Olympic torch. Artemis, the whore of Babylon, is rising to power. And here we have an Olympic ritual. The Olympic flame, a symbol of peace. And here we have the sisterhood of high priestesses in the ceremony of the flame. Listen to this. During the ancient Olympic Games, the Olympic flame was ignited by the sun's rays and remained lit through the games in a sanctuary in Olympia known as Prytaneum. For the ancient Greeks, fire was a creative element of the world and civilization. The Olympic flame has been a symbol of peace and friendship among nations since antiquity. To ensure its purity, the flame is always lit by the sun's rays caught in the center of a parabolic mirror. The idea for the lighting ceremony in Olympia, as well as the concept of the torch relay, is attributed to Carl Diem, 1882-1962, a member of the organizing committee of the Games of the 11th Olympiad, and was first implemented at the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. Since then, the lighting of the flame and torch relay have taken place at every Olympics. The journey of the Olympic flame from Olympia to the host city of the Games as an Olympic torch relay has become one of the most symbolic events associated with the Olympics. Like the Olympic messenger of old who proclaimed the Akaria, or sacred truce, the relay runners who pass on the Olympic flame bring the message of peace with them along their path. Right? Bible says they say peace, peace, when there is no peace. The lighting ceremony. This is a ritual, you guys. A few months before the opening of the Games, the Hellenic Olympic Committee holds a ceremony at the ancient site of the Olympic Games in Olympia, Greece. The flame is lit. The flame is lit by the high priestess, who in front of the ruins of the temple of Hera asks Apollo, the god of the sun for help in lighting her torch with the sun rays caught on a parabolic mirror. Okay, this is a ritual. The high priestess is accompanied by priestesses and choroi, represented by a group of young Greek dancers who perform the choreography inspired by ancient times. The Olympic flame is then placed in an urn and brought to the ancient stadium by Hestiaea, the priestess, keeper of the fire, where it is handed over by the high priestess to the first torchbearer along with an olive branch, a universal symbol of peace. Thus begins the start of the Olympic torch relay, which will see the flame travel from ancient Olympia to the host city of the modern Olympic Games. So, here we have a ritual that was performed this year in April for the Olympic Games in France. Here you have a coven of witches. Remember, Hecate, Artemis, is the queen of witches. You can say they're actresses all you want and dancers. You are just deceiving yourself. All they have to do is tell you those things and people will believe it. That doesn't make it so. These are a coven of witches, and they worship Artemis. Look at their dresses. They are pillars. Pillars in the temple of their god, Apollo. Artemis. The torch looks exactly the same. Look at this torch. Look at this torch. Same torch. And you've seen this goddess as the Enchantress in the Suicide Squad movie, for those of you who have seen it. This is her in the movie. They call her the Enchantress. And when she is in human form, her name is June Moon. Yeah, June as in 6. The 6th month. June Moon is the Enchantress, who is Artemis. Now, one of Selene's children is Narcissus, which is where we get the word narcissist from. And there's absolutely no shortage of narcissists around in these days. Narcissus was a hunter from Thespiae in Boeotia, who was known for his beauty, which was noticed by all regardless of gender. According to the best-known version of the story by Ovid, Narcissus rejected all advances, eventually falling in love with the reflection in the pool of water, tragically not realizing its similarity, entranced by it. So he is in love with himself. Okay? Understand that Artemis is giving birth to narcissism. Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection. 2 Timothy 2:3, verse 2 says, "For men will be lovers of their own selves," referring to evil in the last days. So here you've seen the sacrifice of the wrestler. So he left the ring. You saw Kamala Harris enter the ring with Joe Biden as his VP. I've shown you the associations between the different goddesses and how they are connected to this ritual for the Olympics. Now, Artemis's son, under the Selene name, is Narcissus, and he fell in love with himself. And now, evil in the last days, the children who deny God are falling in love with themselves. You see it all the time. Girls, guys, all taking selfies, consumed by themselves. We are watching Artemis, the whore of Babylon, rising into power. We are watching the possession of people. I had covered in the Bible study on last Saturday's Revelation Part 11, talking about wormwood in Revelation 8:10. Okay, I showed how wormwood is Artemis. It's Artemis. And the understanding I've come to after I've meditated on this word all week is that the waters are becoming bitter. Kamala's coming into power. Artemis is coming into the world and corrupting the spirits of men. Waters are the spirit. Wormwood, Artemis, is rising, coming into power, and is corrupting the spirits of men. And because of the bitterness of the water, many men are going to die of the waters. Their spirits are being corrupted because they were made bitter. People are going to hate what they see. It's going to bring corruption in many forms, and many men will die because their spirits are going to be made bitter. We are watching physical manifestations of Artemis rising that there is absolutely no denying. And when Kamala becomes president, if she's not already, I still haven't seen Joe Biden, she won't leave until she makes way for the Antichrist. And he will take from her. He will come in as a savior for what she destroyed. And people will love him. They will exalt him. They will worship him because they hated the whore of Babylon. Because she made the waters bitter, and many men died of the waters. Well, guys, that's the presentation. I hope you picked up everything I put down, because this is absolutely crazy. If you put the Whore of Babylon video with last Saturday's Bible study, Revelation Part 11, and connect it with this video right here, the manifestations and the connections are so many that you literally have to close your eyes and sew them shut to not see what is happening, to not see the truth. Cast your doubt aside, for these are the end times, and we will be seeing so many things that are going to be unbelievable, though they are happening right in front of our face. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. God bless you all, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.